Okay. One of our questions that was sent in for the four of you is, this is the first time that the KasamaRep position is included in the election process for the executive board. This role has grown over the years from a supporting role into a leadership position. Knowing the responsibilities of KasamaRep, how will you demonstrate leadership within our executive board and within your respective classes? You have to go in order, you can go whenever you're ready.
I think the informal role, one of the informal roles of being the fourth year KasamaRep in specific, is acting as a role model for a lot of people, whether that be your other year KasamaReps, third, second, first year and transfer reps, and whether that also be a role model for your fellow fourth years. I think the main thing when it comes to being a leader with the fourth year rep is being not only a representative of the fourth years in specific, but also just general membership as a whole. As somebody who's like, as a Kasama who's on their way out, who can be that guiding light for people who are also on their way out, who are looking to also, be in that position, be on board, be on really any sort of thing with Kasamahan, just being a role model for them and acting as, their guide. I think that's probably the main thing when it comes to being that role, leadership role, at least for Kasama.
For the leadership position, I think because, as we mentioned, the position is so malleable, we don't have to just be a leader for our group or our perspective, like grade level, because you're a representative for our whole org and for every single person in this room, and you lead by example. And whether that's going to workshops or being inviting to other people, you're like, hey, like you're welcome here, and you're always welcome here, and you'll always like have a space here even without them walking into the space. I think all of us should just lead by example, and there's not one set way to lead. Thank you.
Being able to lead means knowing when to step in or to step out within certain situations, and just being able to guide people throughout the way, or taking that step for yourself and acknowledging when it's okay not to lead, or being able to acknowledge the things that they're not the best at, or acknowledging everybody's strengths and weaknesses as a whole, and being able to not just cultivate your own leadership, but encourage other people within Kasamahan to lead as a whole.
I think like Holly said, leadership can take many different shapes and forms. You don't always have to be very outspoken. You can just be there to listen to somebody, or just if they need a little push, a little nudge, you'd be like, yeah, let's go. But yeah, quite simply, to put it in simple terms, just being able to assess the situation and just be able to listen, to learn from other people as well, because that's what leadership looks like to me.
I have a question. So I know we all have Fred, Holly, and also y'all have experienced the teams that we put on for our various things, whether it be Abel, Hubble, or our yearly theme, or even past year's themes, field grads and all that stuff. Can y'all tell me a theme that you most resonate with, and how you want to apply that to your next term?
Two themes that we've had, the yearly theme was Kadandamlaog and Abul, beautiful inside. I mean, what comes to mind is Jalissa always says that she's I don't know you yet, but I love you. But I think that really resonates with me. I like to make connections with people and also tracing it back to the PCM theme of like weaving in those new connections with new members and just new experiences and having our fabric grow.
I think for me it also would be a both, because at least for me personally, I'm actually Ilocano, and for me historically, it's actually been really hard for me to connect more specifically with that part of my Filipino heritage rather than just like the general overarching label that is Filipino, Filipina, Filipinas culture. And I always appreciated the weave aspect of that theme, and there's been a lot of talks about threads and who's contributed to your story and the overarching story that you're contributing to. I see the fabrics that have been weaved in me. I see Corel's, I see Micaela's, I see Carl's, Felix's, I see my friends James, Ruth, Francis, Christelle. I see just general memberships that, you know, maybe I don't know as well, but I know I feel like I'm good friends with, you know. And just, yeah, there's a ton of people here. And I feel though like that theme really resonated with me, because I can see maybe less so myself and others and in New York in general, but I can see other people and how they like helped me and molded me. And I do want to be that fabric for somebody else too, whether that be on board or otherwise. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to be there. Possible.
Like I said in my speech, I'm gonna just highlight again. I didn't know what Kasamahan meant to me or what isang bagsak really meant until meeting all of you and understanding that these people are really for me, that we're here for each other. And it's not just a space to be social, it's not just a space to feel seen or heard. It's like these people have your back and I want to have your back. And not just in this org, not just as a Philam community, but as a friend, as a person, as a student here at this university. I'm here, like, isang bagsak for all of you. Like, yeah, thank you.
The theme that I choose to resonate with even and when throughout my term would be kahandang loob. You can excuse me if I said that incorrectly, but the idea of like being able to be someone's light or to encourage people to grow as a whole and to continue to share that light and to like be able to like burn within the same community as a whole, leaving our mark within not just within my communities but hopefully the world within today. And a bell could be also related as well, because like for me personally, I wouldn't think like as a transfer student that this school would mean so much to me, and that how it's like within the fabric of the universe that I'm within today. It's just being able to be woven within my life as a whole, and then how it continues to grow, and hopefully I will be able to grow within these terms within my time here at USF and in KasamaRep.
So KasamaRep is a really large organization, and for a lot of our first year friends or transfer friends who are just starting out, it might be really intimidating to start doing our events. So how would you use your position to accommodate for our friends who are a little bit shyer and a bit more hesitant to join our events in the first place?
I think one of the contributing factors, because you're right, that it can be very intimidating. This work can be very intimidating. I think probably one of the big factors in my head for a while has been kind of the separation between classes. You know, a lot of fourth years are friends with other fourth years, a lot of third years with third year, second year, sixth, et cetera, et cetera. I think for me as fourth year rep, what I really wanted to do, one of my main focuses, was really breaking down those barriers between just those classes and encouraging more, you know, inter-class activity, and maybe contribute a little bit to that problem, which is like having that intimidation for the first transfer years, because there's a ton of stories that the upperclassmen have of, you know, people just reaching out to them and being like, you know, they're person, like they're in the corner and somebody walks up to them, like somebody who's like not even their year. Encouraging more interactions like that and like creating more environments where those things are possible, like events between classes and stuff like that.
I agree with Fred was like there's really is like a really clear divide between the separation of classes with like certain people, but I think it could be really intimidating for someone who is more shy, more introverted, but always having but as in the leadership role as KasamaRep or someone who's representing your year, it really is you that takes that first step and being like, hey, what's up? How are you doing? Do you want to come join this? Blah, blah, blah. This is really cool. I think, blah, blah, blah. But also listening to them and like what their interests are, what you think would be like good for them to join.
For those people who don't show up, or for those people who are scared because they're intimidated, I do have a plan as of my year personally. I want to try to use Slack, and as in a way like our RAs do the personal check-ins with their dorm, with their residents. I want to be that person to be like, hey, I'm Jerome, nice to meet you, I'm your KasamaRep, just checking in. Like, I want to utilize my office hours and the Slack to like contact other people that don't know what's happening. And I know we have that problem of people like hearing about events just the day before. And I just want to utilize the platforms that we do have, whether it's working with publicity or just being present for everybody.
I think within the whole concept of intimidation, especially with like new students or first year students or with that full class divide, is definitely a valid thing or a valid concern, especially for a KasamaRep, because it diminishes like the connections being made. But in reality, I think something that we all have to realize is that we're all burning in the same melting pot. But as a Kasamahan as a whole, like we're still all within the college experiences, that we're all experiencing things in similar different ways, and just being able to acknowledge your experiences as a whole throughout your whole entire time here in Kasamahan or within USF is really important to acknowledge, and to be able to acknowledge that growth, but not to like force upon them as well. Like, hi, I'm gonna drag you to this event whether you like it or not. No, being able to like slowly like weave into it, like slowly get to know the person as a whole, and to just be able to allow them to grow as a whole into being welcome within the space, because they're always welcome no matter how they feel or no matter where they may stand.
Try to create spaces to like have your members or the people you're representing experience the kinds of things that you've experienced yourself. So this is more like a fun question. Just tell us like one experience or like a story that you've experienced in Kasamaan that has affected you and has pushed you to run.
Can you repeat the last part of the question?
What's up?
Can you repeat the last part of the question? Sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Tell us a story that you've experienced in Kasamahan that has affected you and has pushed you to be very sensitive.
An experience that has pushed me to run for this position was probably Kate season, because coming into this space, I did not want to talk to anyone until I think it was my Civ, Cass, who was like, hey, why don't you just try meeting these people? And at first I thought it was scary, but seeing that everyone is in that same position of trying to meet their queer author, their audience or whatever, like, it's not that bad. Because we all are feeling that same fear coming into this space, and I just feel like Kate season has opened my bubble and my like understanding of how to interact with every single person. Well, not every single person, but like being more opening to let other people into my life. So, thank you.
honestly, it's not an answer to your question totally. I can't point out specific experiences because overall it's just been a build-up for me of people reaching out to me who weren't even in my year, who didn't even know me that well. It's a combination of people appreciating when I was on board and when I was SM for PCN, like people appreciating what I do and cheering me on with that, and whether or not it was with my positions that I was in or just with my own personal growth and the hard parts of my life that people have seen me go through. It's just the constant amount of support that I have gotten from the org just over the years has kind of put me where I am right now. It's the reason why I'm standing in this spot trying to speak to all about this. I can't really point out specifics. I think that everyone has contributed to me, and that's why I sort of want to contribute to it.
A specific experience or time that pushes me to be in this position today is being able to be paired or be given my Ate Kiana. God bless her so much, because within this space, she's pushed me to do different things, and just she was able to create that home and space that I needed here at USF, or like even learning spoken word during PCN season. I've never done a spoken word piece at all, and just being able for her to foster that connection between me as a whole throughout PCN and like to grow as an individual is something that I really appreciate with her, and giving me that home that I thought I would never not need.
For me, it was definitely a cultural committee. Being an intern, especially PCN season, a lot of people asked me for guidance, and then I was like, oh, these people really trust me to be like there, and they expect me to show up for them, and I still want to show up for my class every day. Just kidding. But yeah, there's no specific thing. Everyone has all contributed to my experience here because I've only been here for a year. But cultural committee has really pushed me to like want to grow as an individual, as a leader, and like just seeing the hard work that behind the scenes and like other e-board members have done. Like I think this KasamaRep is like a really good gateway position into like future leadership roles, and like just showing up for my class and for other people who want to seek, I guess, home in me.
So Danielle will be our last question for this round.
So as KasamaRep, you are the voice of your class and vice versa for board. In your own experience, I'm not asking you how you would be transparent with the class, but what does transparency mean in your eyes? Or how do you feel that someone's being transparent to you?
I think this is something for my friendships, but honestly it does transfer over to anything I've been in professionally. Honesty in both aspects. I'll be honest to my friends all the time about stuff that I think is great and stuff that I love them for. And then every now and then there's something I might not be a fan of. And sometimes there's been moments when I've gone up to some of my friends like, hey, I just really want to talk to you about this. Can we have a conversation about this? And I think transparency-wise, when I'm working as a rep for 4th years, it's being their voice not only in the sense of support for the org and like all the great things and all the positive stuff about it, but what they might have issues with, and then trying to address them as much as I can to my ability, because there are limits. But I think just when it comes down to transparency, it's honesty, but it's also two-way honesty, and being humble with yourself about what you can and can't do, but what you also need to try to address in the moment.
I agree with Fred that honesty goes both ways and communication goes both ways, and just like being like for transparency, like sorry that was really loud. These boots are kind of big. But just like utilizing the resources that you have, and just because you may hold this certain position doesn't mean like you're above everyone else, or like you have to know everything all the time. Like it's okay to like be like admit that, oh, I don't know this quite yet, let me ask someone else for help, and just like kind of reaching out to people that you may know the answer, because not everybody knows everything. Just being transparent with what you know, like the knowledge that you have, and communication.
Like we've mentioned before what transparency means, I feel like in my position, I could be that listening ear, whether it's they need help for the pre-professional stuff for college or like internships, or whether it's finding tutoring connections through Kasamahan, because there are so many diverse majors, and it's honestly just being a gateway or a bridge for those people, and being honest, like, hey, you got this because I believe in you. And yeah, we have to be honest with our Kasamas. Maybe if it's not in favor for the whole org, but I'll try to do my best in any way that I can to help. Whether, again, if it's to listen, to connect them with other people, or just to be there in support.
I think with transparency, it's really important to know when to take off your position as a KasamaRep and then put yourself in a general member's shoes, and just trying to understand the perspectives that someone may have, but then also acknowledge what you see as well. And it's just a matter of like very honest and blunt communication, but in a way that's straight to the point and completely honest. Because if you don't establish that honesty within the organization, then that creates like distrust amongst people, and then that's something that we would want to avoid as a whole. And by being able to establish that early on and just continue to be transparent, but also communicate in a respectful and mindful way, is what I see as transparency as.
Thank you.